Sorry, late hit on the recorder, but we are in normal standard rank queue. We're playing standard Pauper, Simic slime, and I think we're closing in on gold, or we just made it to gold. I wasn't really paying attention, but we're getting there. We're going to see how we do against normal Pauper deck, or normal decks with a standard Pauper deck. So I think what we want to do here is let's pitch this line. Let's be bigger than them. Let's put that out. So, and this is standard Pauper, green blue slime against humanity. I figured with the new set, why not build a deck that simultaneously has one of my favorite cards, one of my least favorite cards. My least favorite is actually slime against humanity. It just doesn't really feel very green. I mean, it's alright, but I think we want to keep adding stuff to the board here. Get another blocker. What do we have? They've got a 2-2 and a 3-3, so they can kill off my 4-4, and I won't be able to trade well with them. So I'm gonna just set this up with Rebel Built Maverick, which is my actually one of my more favorite cards of the set. I do like this guy a lot. He works really well in this deck, so you'll see how I'm able to kind of utilize it here. We don't need to attack into this. It's not a favorable combat. We're going to wait till we can proliferate. Let's see if they spread their tokens out a little bit better. And at least make sure we... Okay, cool, yeah. Alright, so let's see if they... Okay, so they spread out to a 4-4. Cool. And so what we'll do here is... Let's see. Do we play come into play tapped one? I think we do. Or no, we play the regular forest here. Let's put that on that. Put it on my... internet connection going slow. Come on, do the thing. Oh no, come on. I'm getting poor internet connection, and it's gonna time out on me, and this is gonna crap out. Come on, man. Oh, there we go. Saved it. It's moving. Come on, do it. Alright. And then we'll draw 2 cards. Our instant speed divination, which we could have held it up and made them think we have some sort of counter magic or something like that. Come on, man. Alright. Come on, do the thing. Come on, internet. Oh. This is sucky. Come on, internet. Okay, there we go. Get some more oozes. And... Ooh. So now the question is, do we just attack through and keep our proliferate to get bigger? Yeah, let's just attack with our fire. I don't see them having any real threat. They don't have any reach on this side, yeah. Cool. What is this guy do? This creature can't be blocked. Cool. Yeah, they're gonna get big on me here. Okay. Can't be blocked. Oh no. We're gonna send through 5. Alright. Cool. So let's do that. And let's put that one out. Let's put let's send our 5/5. Let's at least make them put in a favorable trade. Unfavorable trade, rather. I forgot to send my flyer through. Oopsie doops. Okay, so it can't be blocked. It's going to be tough. Okay. Alrighty. Let's put out our ooze. Let's see if we can cross before they can. Proliferate. Submit it. And let's send them all. Got no chance. We're dead next turn to the unblockable. We really need some removal, you know? Yeah, I think they got me. I mean, all I gotta do is block properly. I'm only forcing through at least, 6 damage? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, so I'm only gonna get through 13. Oh, they're gonna stop that too. Okay. Don't really need to, but I mean, you got me. What does this guy do? Becomes base power. Right. And sure. Give him the good game. We almost had it. This is where you really need some sort of removal, so I think I can main deck some sort of a swipe spell, or something that would allow me to pinpoint some spot removals, a bounce. There's lots of options, I think, that make it serviceable, but you can kind of see how the deck grows pretty quick. It's tough when you're going against, a deck like this in normal standard. They got me. Cool. Oh boy, I'm losing. So maybe I didn't make gold, or did I make gold? Internet lag. Internet lag. But I wanted to at least get a game because this has now been performing pretty good. We built the deck initially. It was a little bit slower. And maybe that's the better approach if you're doing it for a Pauper meta. So, I think, obviously take this with a grain of salt since I'm playing against normal standard decks in the rank queue. But I wanted to do that because, I think we get more competitive decks, get a lot of testing and a lot of reps, try new cards. Struggled kind of early on because the deck was a little bit slow and dirtily. And I was feeling, a lot of pressure from aggressive decks in the format. So I skewed the deck to be a little bit more aggressive, and we'll just show it off real quick here and see what you guys think. So there's a lot of things that you can do in terms of sideboard options. Let me move this a little bit so we can see the deck. We'll pull it up here. Sideboard real quick is just kind of maybe board things that I consider, like Spell Pierce, Tameo Seep, keep it Experimental Augury because it's a proliferate, and I think proliferate does help, but it's scry, so it's just not perfect. If it was surveil and proliferate, that would be amazing. It's just not. There's Archaeologist, which we've seen in other builds, but I'm trying to get away from that and let others who are more competent use the use that mill approach. I'm not really trying to do that same thing. I think somebody's already, Haiku's already doing that. If you follow the, MTGA forums, he's doing that, and he's showing that approach. So I'm going to try and do something different. Obviously, negate. This one's one worth considering because it puts a lot of cards in the graveyard. That's kind of fun to get back lands easily, but I don't know about it. Do you want to be more control-ish and do Devious Cover-Up? I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a nombo because it puts your slimes back in, but you may want to keep recurring slimes. I don't know. Then these were kind of just the collage of spells. I don't think Serpentine Ambush is good enough, but the ones that I had landed on initially were shape crap because your tokens, your slimes are they're all tokens. All their power and toughness is generated from tokens. So this is essentially a 4/3 bonus plus draw a card for 2 mana, which is amazing. Or you have something like Water Wings, which again gives them a base power 4/4, adds all those tokens on top of it, gives it flying, so it's now got evasion, it's got hexproof as well. So that's a more, I think, aggressive way to approach this. I don't know, maybe those should be in the main deck instead of the fairies. Can think about it. I've been keeping the fairies in just because I do like the ability to double spell and get down slimes really quickly. Whether or not it's needed, I don't know. I think maybe that might be better in Explorer, where you have something like Treasure Cruise that you can activate super cheaply and draw more cards. So that's something I'll have to think about. And then this was one that I thought was kind of interesting just because you do tend to get this natural coven that turns on. This card probably doesn't see playing much, but a 2/2 and draw a card, maybe you're looking at something that's a little bit more aggressive to, attack and draw cards and keep being aggressive that way. This one, This one I like as well, just because it's cheap. Basically, going to come down against 1 mana against attacker that you can, bounce them back to, their hand and surveil to, and get some bigger dudes on the crackback. Mesmerizing Dose, lock something down that it can't untap. I don't know in Pauper that it's necessarily a good pick, just because we do have a lot of, flicker or flicker and bounce decks, so I don't know if that's necessarily great, but for what I'm doing, it's pretty good because it proliferates and it locks somebody down when you need to. This one was actually kind of fun. So Fog of War, you do tend to get quite a few guys on board, and if you're going against kind of swarming decks that are trying to get wide on you, this is a good way to gain a ton of life and then be able to sustain for a crackback. Also, if you've got a lot of small guys trying to double block on you, this is actually a pretty sneaky good card. I think this should see more play in general. It's really cool. Or, is this just something that you can throw terror into, since you're cycling cards into the graveyard? You might be able to play a cheap terror as essentially your chump blocker, your early speed bump. A 5/5 ward is going to, slow down a lot of stuff unless they're playing sacrifice effects. But basically, looking at the deck, it is pretty low on land, so we've only got 18 lands total. I'd say lands with air quotes because our Thriving Roots are actually our extra 4 lands. We kept it pretty low on the come into play tap lands. We only have 5 of them, just to give us a pretty good split of blue, because we do want to get our blue mana online. So we have basically 22 mana sources altogether. The card that I like the most, or one of the cards that I like a lot from the new set, is Rubble Belt Maverick. Really cool. Very simple 1/1. It surveils in this deck, so it's not really going for that bulk mill like Haiku is doing with Explorer. So I'm not trying to put a lot of cards in there. I'm trying to be a little bit more selective. So this one's going to surveil. 2, let me pitch a slime or maybe something else that I want to get into the yard, and then when it dies, it allows me to put a counter on one of my creatures, which is important because I do have the Thriving Roots, which can proliferate in the late game. So you can essentially pitch, use let's say Otherworldly Gaze, which is also another one that lets me get cards into the yard, or Modern Age that lets me get those guys into the yard when they aren't really effective as a 1/1, and instead I want them to be like a 1/1 counter. So I would do something late like pitch pitch one of these guys, pitch a Maverick into the graveyard, um, uh, generate a 1/1 token on one of my flyers, either my Modern Age or my Sprite to give it evasion, then hit Proliferate off Thirsting Roots, which is going to grow all my slimes, and then allows me to get a lot of value out of that, right? So they all synergize together, but that's basically the core of the deck. Then the last thing, obviously, is our quick study to get a couple of extra draws, and then our slimes. This may be too many. I don't know. I just don't know the right number of slimes at this point. So we could definitely cut some, make some more space. Maybe that's something that we do in the sideboard, but I still haven't settled on a final list. But this is kind of the approach that I'm looking at, being a little bit more I guess aggressive and swarmy, not shooting so much for that big slime early, because that can just get blown out by early removal, and that's something that you do have to be kind of worried about. Now, in a Pauper, you may not have to be worried about it as much, because it gets out of range of a lot of the removal that's in Pauper. So people have kind of strayed away from things like murder or something else that just destroys or exiles a creature, and they're more leaning towards things that make you sacrifice, force you to sacrifice. And I believe the build that Haiku has in Explorer, he's got a lot of the creatures that mill, the Archaeologist, I forget the name of the other green one that mills 4, so he's putting a big chunk of slimes in with his big mill, and then you've got this kind of weenie body on the floor to protect you against sacrifice. And if nobody's running targeted removal, because it's out of the range of a lot of red removal and some of the black removal, that may be good enough to just get a big slime and go. And it's kind of doing that. It starts at a bigger, so maybe on turn 3 he puts down or I think it's got Secret Keeper too, I think. So maybe like on turn 3, he's really going all in to hit that, big slime, right? So turn 3, 6/6 or 7/7 or who knows what, right? 10/10 maybe, right? And if all your opponent has are sacrifice removal, then you've got a Secret Keeper, or maybe, because I think. Yeah, that's a adventure. So maybe you've got like an Archaeologist, or the other one that lets you mill. So maybe you have that body to get rid of that. So that's one approach, and that's why I kind of went with something a little bit different, where I'm just kind of playing more, I guess, aggro swarmy, where my first one's not going to be as big. My first one that comes down, usually around a 4/4 or 5/5 on turn 3, but then it's supported with things like, maybe these Mavericks, or Modern Age, or the Fairies, that allow me to double spell and kind of put that pressure on, and then hit like a really big swarm and go for an Alpha Strike. So a little bit different approach, and I am also really liking the key standouts, I think, are Water Wings and I can't even know how to pronounce that. Even if I had my glasses, I couldn't pronounce this. Zalfrin, Shapecraft. These two have been really cool. I really like these cards. They work really well with the slimes. So I think as the deck maybe gets a little bit more aggressive, I might lean into that a little bit more, because it's a pretty big shocker for somebody to all of a sudden have like this big flying slime that's really big, that goes from like, oh, it's a 6/6, oh no, sorry, it's a 10/10 flying with hexproof and trample, and it's just gonna like go right through you. Other approaches, you could lean into something like outside of standard. You could lean into like double strike effects, Raking Claws, or Temur Battle Rage. I'd say probably Raking Claws is better, just because it has cycling on it, and you already have the trample off slime, so you don't really need to get the trample effect. But I would say that might be an interesting way to go in, an explorer build, maybe like a teamer type shell, maybe even gruel. But I like teamer in that you could, give it, theoretically give it evasion with water wings, and then, raking closet to just straight up deal, like 20 plus damage on somebody. So it has been a lot more fun to build than I thought. Some of the games have been rather unenjoyable to play. A lot of times when you get rolling, people just concede before you really get to do anything with slime. But every once in a while, we get like a game that we just had there. It was close, we lost it. But again, I think those are things that, with the right tinkering, you can put in some things like bounce spells and fight spells to get rid of some of the problematic. That was a very artifact heavy deck, so obviously you could do anti-artifact, which green has plenty of. So I think all around the deck is pretty solid. Obviously I like the approach I'm taking with it. You may not, but hopefully this gives you some ideas to build off of and try something in a slightly different format for standard Pauper. It's been grinding fairly well. I might make a few more tweaks and see if I can grind this one up in standard rank Q, maybe hit mythic with it. I don't know. It's been a while since I've tried that. I did a lot of that rank grinding with Kiln Fiend. But I haven't really looked to the other formats just yet. This might be one of those decks that you can do. The only problem that I see is that there are already some, normal standard slime decks that are obviously a little bit better because they pull from a better class of cards and can get, out of hand really quickly. I faced a couple. But I'm actually doing okay with my approach being a little bit different. I kind of got the jump on some of them and got out to my slimes earlier and beat some, and then others I lost to because they just got their slimes down too quick. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what change we make. I think if grinding is successful to platinum, we might check back in, record a few games if I have time. I do start a new job next week, so time will be limited. But as infrequent as I post these videos, it may be more infrequent, but we will try to get something down if we take this to any sort of extended testing and play. See if we can't get some fun games. So again, hope you like it, and I'll hopefully see you again soon.